So Hunger Games was amazing. I went into it knowing that it was going to be super epic, and I saw it and it may possibly have been more epic than I expected it to be, which was so cool. I actually saw someone posted on Facebook the night before that Taylor Swift's Safe and Sound was going to be during the Rue dying scene, and it wasn't, which made me really happy because that would have totally ruined it. Love Taylor, but your song belongs in the credits. I did not go to the midnight showing of Hunger Games. I went at 1:30 p.m. because I love sleeping in because it's my spring break right now, and I saw it with one of my friends, and she really complained at the end about that the camera was moving, and I saw like a lot of people complaining about that, and I didn't notice it at all. I don't know if I'm weird or something, but I thought the filming was fine. I mean, there were a couple parts where the camera was focusing away from what was going on, and that kind of irritated me. But I haven't read Hunger Games since sophomore year, so 2 years ago, so that's why I thought it was so amazing. I didn't remember anything, and I didn't really remember how it was different from the book too much at all. I thought the guy playing Gale, Liam Hemsworth, I think, he did amazing, and I couldn't even recognize him from the last song because his hair and his eyebrows were all dyed up, but he was amazing, and Katniss was amazing. My favorite scene was at the very beginning when she was hugging Prim goodbye, and it made me cry so much. I actually cried 4 times in the movie, but that was my favorite scene. I felt like everyone just did a phenomenal job acting, and I really liked how it was gruesome and you knew people were dying, but it wasn't like over the top, disgusting violence. I also went into the movie being like, it's definitely Gale, he's the best one for her, but after seeing the movie, I don't know, I'm totally like Peeta now, and I think it's because Gale really wasn't in it that much, so maybe in Catching Fire it'll be different, but I don't know. Peeta was amazing, and I hated his hair at first, like the gelled back hair. It was so weird, and I was like, ew, you're disgusting, you're ugly. But then once his hair got normal, when they actually got into the games, it was better, and I really liked Rue too. She was a really good actress, and I hated the blonde chick who was in the group of people who were trying to kill Katniss. She irritated me so much. I don't know what her name is, but the person who was like in District 12 escorting them to the Capitol, she did an amazing job. Like, I mean, the makeup artist and the costume artist did with her makeup and what she was dressed. It was just over the top, outrageously ridiculous, and it was so cool. One of the scenes that I really liked was when they were waiting for the victor ceremony to begin, and there was a little boy playing with his sister with like a plastic sword, and he was like pretending to stab her, and they were like playing, and it kind of reminded me of our society where we're all like into playing video games, and then we have like wars going on at the same time. Like, we don't understand what reality is. And I think that what I really got out of this was that number one, I think the whole idea of hunger is really relevant to our world because we have the first world countries like the US who have so much, and I mean, you can kind of compare like the wealth of the capital to kind of the wealth of our country. Like, we have so much junk possessions that we don't need. And then if you think of like third world countries where they're starving to death and like every 6 seconds a child dies of hunger, like, it's crazy. I just think it's a really good parallel, and I think that even though right now you're like, oh, we don't have reality TV shows killing teenagers, but yeah, we kind of do. We have wars going on. We're forcing our young people to die. We're not doing anything about the poor people who are dying. So I think it's like you can really get like a good kind of moral theme, moral lesson out of it. I loved Peeta and Katniss's costumes, and I actually loved all of Katniss's lines. Like, she was so snarky. My favorite line, she said, "I'm not good at making friends." It was so funny, and I was like, oh, I love you. And I wish they'd spent a longer time with the technology, like when she was getting like beautified, because I remember in the book, this is like the one thing I remember from the book. It was like when you got out of the shower, you put your hair under it and it dried it and like detangled it in like 1 second, and that wasn't in the movie, which is really sad, but of course they can't include everything. One of the things that was so cool in the movie that wasn't in the books was how the people who were like executing the scientists who were in the room with like the clear table, and they were like, it was like they were like on an iPad and they were like punching something, and then like it went into the actual games. That was so cool. The wolf part was as creepy and terrifying as it was in the book, and actually a lot of it, like the way I imagined it in my head when I was reading it, is how it was in the movie. Like, it was so accurately perfect. And I thought that Rue's dying scene was kind of lame, because if you watch Hunger Games things on YouTube, you would have seen the Mainstay Pro version, which made me cry just watching that scene. And when I was comparing the scene in the movie to the Mainstay Pro reenactment of it, I was just like, this is terrible. So that was kind of my only complaint, because I don't know, it wasn't long enough. And in the book, District Levin, I think, is the bread district that Rue was in. They like sent Katniss bread right after it, and I thought that was really symbolic and kind of setting it up for the next movie. But instead of the bread, they had a scene in the dad district of the dad being so angry, and I didn't cry when Rue was dying, but I did cry when Katniss was so mad, and then when he was so mad because she died, and then you see all the soldiers coming in, and I'm just thinking this is totally foreshadowing to book 3, movie 3, when all the uprisings start. So yes, if you haven't read Hunger Games yet, get on it. Read all the books. It's so amazing. I can't wait to see how the love triangle starts working itself out in the second movie and third movie, and it's just going to keep getting better and better. Comment below what your favorite scene in Hunger Games was, and any other things that like really irritated you that didn't match the book that were in the movie.